Hello, Caesar here, and before I begin this episode of Back to Back, this is episode number 4, part 1, I just want to kind of say that this is going to be one long take, unedited. Unfortunately, my laptop is on its last legs, it's an older laptop, and when I went to edit my latest videos, there's a lot of technical difficulties. The editor didn't work. I tried to update, I tried to do this and that. I even downloaded another editing platform software, and it just can't handle it. So for the foreseeable future, I'm going to have to do like one take videos. I hope they'll turn out okay. I tend to in my older videos to edit out a lot because I'm pretty long-winded. I can go on and on and on tangents and stuff. So maybe this will be good. I'm trying to look at this as a positive change. Maybe this will teach me to be more concise. So anyway, without further ado, let's get to the topic of the video, which is knives. Now, in case you're not familiar with the back-to-back series, just real quick, it's just a virtual conversation with one backpacker to another. In the past, I had done some videos with Ross from Woodtrekker, which you can check out. If you go to my channel, you'll see episodes 1 through 3. And that was super cool to interact with Ross. Thanks again, Ross, for your contributions. And I also reached out to another backpacker recently named Jason from JWB Outdoors.com, which is his blog. I'll put a link below to my blog, to his blog, so you can check them out. And he happens to be a knife maker, so I was very excited to get his perspectives on knives. And because we are both ultralight backpackers, he's also an ultralight or lightweight type backpacker. He's even gone, actually the two of us have gone into even XUL or extreme ultralight, where it's there's varying definitions, but it's like you're looking at under 3 pounds or so. So yeah, that's kind of like the outward limit of ultralight backpacking. But what I have here in front of me now, though, to get back on topic, because it's going to be all about knives for lightweight backpacking, I have 4 knives that I use for this. Suits all of my needs for my backpacking trips, both day trips and extended trips, overnight or more. So I have 2 knives that I generally take on day trips, and I have 2 knives that I generally take on over 24-hour periods. So I'll start with the day trip knives. One is a bit unique. This one is my mushrooming knife. I'm a huge fan of wild edible mushrooms. If you are someone who's familiar with my blog, you'll have seen different texts that I've written about edible mushrooms. Again, I'm a big fan, so it's a pretty straightforward, simple knife. It's curved to help just kind of trim at the stem the mushrooms. It's got a little ruler and a little brush to clean it in the field. Yeah, so I thought it was worth mentioning because I do get some good use out of this, because whenever it's mushrooming season, kind of like midsummer to autumn, I'm out quite a lot on day trips, my family and I, to get mushrooms. So anyway, only weighs 88 grams. So if you are a mushroomer too, you probably take some kind of knife with you to process them. Though I have seen people take pairs of scissors with them. Another good option. Alright, the next one, and this is actually my everyday carry, or EDC, that goes into my urban backpack, the normal backpack I take around town. It's just a Swiss Army knife. This is the Nomad model. It's pretty Spartan. It's got the main, big blade, then it's got like a screwdriver, can opener, and that's it there. And then it has on the back the wine opener, which actually has seen a fair amount of use, and probably more use than the other accessories. Yeah, it only weighs 100 grams. It's a great thing to have, as an everyday carry type thing. There are times too when I take very simple overnighters, especially with friends, if it's more of a social type camping trip. Then I will just take this, and that's more than enough, right? Okay, so that's about that for the shorter trip type knives. Now let's move on to the two knives that I use for long distance backpacking or more extended trips. Now they're both Mora knives. The first one is a simpler, smaller blade. It's stainless steel. Altogether with the sheath it's 105 grams. And it's okay. The handle is just plastic, you know, but it's alright. It gets the job done. It's not the fanciest knife in the world, but this is a great knife to take whenever I'm going on trips that are on marked trails that are not too far away from home, not as isolated. And I'll also take this more in the summertime when having to have a bigger knife is not much of an issue. And I think that from here I should also talk about like why I bring a knife backpacking at all. There are some ultralight backpackers, Mike Cleland being a famous example, who just take one of these, a little razor blade, right? And that's all, you know, they claim that they need, and more power to them if that's what you're getting by with, you know. It's your backpacking experience to do what you want, but I like to have the peace of mind of having a sturdy blade, a fixed blade, as a just-in-case type measure. While of course there's mundane utility in having a knife, opening packages, cutting up food, even first aid, like minor first aid things like if you get a splinter and the tweezers are not enough to get in there to get that splinter, nice sharp knife is nice to have, though razor blade could do that in defense of, you know, those who take very minimal type blades. But then of course there's cutting up different simple tools where it's nicer to have a bigger blade. One great example is I often make chopsticks. Whenever I eat some noodles, it's much easier to eat noodles with a pair of chopsticks than it is with a spoon or a spork or whatever you take, unless you're taking like I've seen titanium chopsticks. But anyway, I will just take some twigs, you know, and whittle them down to a pair of chopsticks, eat, and then organic material, just, you know, I'll throw it, I'll either bury it or throw it into a lake or something. But yeah, so I know there are much lighter options out there, but for me, I personally like to have something that is a little bit more robust. And I mean, we're talking, you know, we're really splitting hairs here, no pun intended, when it comes to knives, because that's really, it's not all that much weight, at least in my opinion. Now, onto my actually favorite knife for backpacking. Now it's a little heavier, it's 144 grams. That works out to be like 5 ounces for you non-metric people. And here it is. This is the Mora Forest knife, I think it's called, or something like that. And as you can see, I put a little bit of cordage here and a cord lock so that I can have it holster style on a shoulder strap, or otherwise I put it on my hip belt. But this is a fantastic knife. It's got a really nice handle, a nice like rubbery type handle. The blade is slightly bigger, which is nice for if I happen to go fishing and I want to gut a fish. I find that this blade is much nicer. It gets the job done better. Now you can see where editing would be handy here, but anyway. And it also is great to like spread food because it's a wider blade. Like if I'm spreading some kind of you know, butter, or if I'm spreading peanut butter, stuff like that, it's nice to have. And yeah, this also is another peace of mind type item. If I'm going in the winter or when it's cold and I might have to use as an emergency to like make a fire, this would be much better for processing wood. And actually, when I used to do campfires more, I like to cook over or to have to like keep me warmer, I no longer rely on fire for warmth or for cooking, for reasons that I talked about in my last back-to-back video about, you know, the health concerns with wood smoke. I won't get into that now, but suffice to say that I no longer have that many campfires. It would really only be an emergency type situation that I would have like a a larger type campfire. But if I'm going out in the winter, or if I'm going out further, like into more isolated areas, I do a fair amount of bushwhacking or off-trail type stuff. 5 ounces or 144 grams, to me, it's worth, carrying that just for a nice psychological, security blanket. I readily admit that, but at the same time, this has a lot of utility. It's much easier for me to use when I'm making my chopsticks, or when I'm like, trimming a hangnail, or cutting, a package open or whatever. But all right, so those are my 4 main, well, pretty much that's the only knives I use for outdoors use, backpacking, day trips, and why I use them. And I'm looking forward to hearing what Jason uses and his expertise on the subject. I'm guessing he can go into further detail, because I know people who are really into knives, or knife makers, can talk about the different steels and the different, like, carbon versus stainless steel. I should have said, for example, like both of my Moros are stainless steel rather than carbon steel, and the different grinds, the different what do you call it, tangs and all that. So yeah, I won't get into all that. I'd like to keep things simple and also affordable. Moro blades are also pretty inexpensive. So that's yeah, that's my take on knives. So thanks for watching. Again, I apologize for not being able to edit. I hope this will come out all right in spite of not having to edit. It's going to be trickier in the future for other projects, but we'll see. I'll have to adapt. Alright, thanks for watching. Hope this was helpful, enjoyable, interesting. Take care.